Morale makes up 3/4 of the game in combat. You know, that's one of those ones you go, well, yeah, because, if you're thinking, your football team against another football team and they have great morale, but you guys are better players, right? Well, it's probably not going to work out too well. But because this is what I was thinking about last night, I was like, well, where's that going to really carry you in a football game? Mm-hmm. But then I thought, what if your football game was played for months? You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And it wasn't about how big and strong you were, but it was about, hey, we're going to maneuver faster than you. We're going to walk further than you. We're going to keep working while you're resting. Like, we're going to keep our weapons clean. Like, all those things. Like, that's how you win.
Yeah.
And all those things have to do with morale. So it might not make sense in a short engagement in a physical game. It can have an impact, for sure.
I would almost say you were right to begin with in a football game as far as the example. I mean, you're right either way. But if your morale is low, the other team is high, but you have a better football team, your morale is going to be low for a reason. Like, essentially, like, it's like there's going to be, in low morale, it's going to be a lack of confidence, I'm sure. There's going to be a lack of motivation.
And according to the book, lack of proficiency, which negatively affects your morale. So when you're not that good, your morale's down.
Exactly right. Yeah. So I said, it's for a reason. So their morale is good. What if, your morale, if you're a better, quote unquote, better football team, is going to be for a reason. Mm-hmm. And then whatever that reason is, I don't know, it's your hypothetical. So I don't know. But think of a realistic one. Maybe people are arguing about this and that, so they're not working together as a team.
Oh, the morale on the team itself? Like, what can hurt the morale?
Exactly right. Like, on the better, quote-unquote, team.
Yeah, like you blew a game. Like, you blew the last game, like you shouldn't have missed the field goal, and you did, and you were a better team than them, but then they won. Morale can be down.
Yeah, and you're arguing with your team. Quarterbacks is blaming everyone. They, maybe their best guy is injured, and that, now everyone's not as confident, and, like, maybe they're starting, all this other stuff, and they're tired because they've been drinking, all this stuff. So technically, I'm just saying that's a big factor a lot of time. So technically, they are maybe a better team, but the morale is so low for these specific reasons. The other guys, they've been working hard. Yeah. They even got a strategy in place, a secret strategy. I told you about this one time. This team we were technically better than them, but they were like saying, oh, we're going to kick their ass. We're going to kick their ass. And they're telling the whole island, essentially, we're going to kick their ass so bad.
Was this high school?
Yeah. And I was like, what the? This is uncanny, the way they're saying this so much, And then, but they had a little plan, and they did. They beat us, too, with a plan.
What was the plan?
It was to do these weird quarterback keep plays with no huddle. So it's just essentially that surprise kind of thing, and then just keep going. So they'd go quarterback keep, and we'd kind of stop it. Then they go no huddle, quarterback keep, and be like, oh, we're scrambling, and we kind of stop it, but they gain a little bit more, and they just kept doing it
for the whole. But didn't you figure out a solution for it after they did it 4 or 7 or 9 times?
I think.
Or was it too late?
I think our morale went down in that first flurry. To be honest with you, I forget how it.
So their morale was high.
Very high.
They actually beat you.
Yeah, for that reason.
I'm always surprised in football that there's not more sneakiness.
Yeah. I think a lot of sneakiness, and I feel like we might have talked about this too. With football, there's so much history behind the way plays work that sneakiness usually comes with an element of risk that's equal. So, yeah, if you do a trick play, like there's teams that sort of lend towards more sneakiness, but they lend more towards risk as well. So like one of the mainstream sneaky plays is called a reverse, where it's like you give the ball. There's many ways to do it, but a standard one would be you give the ball to the running back in an outside run. And instead of keeping running, the wide receiver who's way over there, he comes around this way. So he's acting like he's running, and he gives it to the wide receiver going the other way. So the defense has all this momentum going this way with the ball, and the reverse just comes around but he's a single guy because he has no blockers. If he had blockers, everyone would see the blockers going over there, and they'd be like, oh, wait, this isn't, this. So they'd be
the risk being that if somebody picks it up and reads the play, then he's getting annihilated.
Probably behind the line because he has no blockers. Exactly right. Or what's the one there's like a hook and lateral, which has a big risk on that one. And then a pass back to the quarterback. That's another one. Where like you give it to the running back and he runs and he doesn't go past the line.
The quarterback does.
The quarterback runs around the other side on a pass pattern, essentially a receiver. So he goes down. And then now the running back has to throw the ball to the quarterback, which is huge risk, by the way. Bro, they're going to pick that thing
and
off.
The quarterback's got to catch it.
Got to catch it. He has to be open, by the way, because if he's not open, who's going to throw it to? Another wide receiver. Usually it's like, it's like you put your eggs all in one basket a lot of the time. And then nowadays people are kind of hip to trick plays, so they kind of wait for it to develop, and now the risk goes up, So that's probably why. I'm sure back in the day, like 1940s football, it's all kinds of weird plays.
All kinds of trick plays.
Yeah.
So morale, you guys lost. The other platoon team was hyped on their morale. Your morale was immediately crushed, and then you were all embarrassed. Then you just lost. So even in football, morale can be 3/4 of the game.
Yeah, I think so.
It says morale is the confident, resolute, willing, and often self-sacrificing and courageous attitude of a Marine to accomplish the tasks expected by the squad. Morale is based upon pride in the achievement and aims of the squad, faith in you as a squad leader, a sense of participation in the squad's work, devotion and loyalty to the other members of the squad, confidence in the ultimate success of the squad. Whichever army goes into battle stronger in soul, their enemies generally cannot withstand them. That's the Greek warrior Xenophon more than 2,000 years ago. Morale tends to fluctuate even among the best Marines. It must be your constant concern because it is the foundation of discipline. You must recognize the extreme importance morale has to the combat effectiveness of your squad. Morale tends to fluctuate even amongst the best Marines. That's something that's important to note. I'll tell you, it fluctuates less. It can fluctuate, but man, you get some motivated troopers. It's hard to even bring them down a little bit. They're just in the game, and they help everybody. It's so helpful to have somebody kind of motivated in the game, like somebody with high morale. Yeah, like we got this.
And it kind of takes someone who can deal with adversity, right?
Yeah.
So, and I was thinking,
which by the way is a decision.
Yeah,
and it's a learned decision too.
Yeah.
You can be like, look, I know what's happening right now. I can see what's happening. I can see the negativity start to drag down. Yeah. And you can say, hey, I'm not letting this happen. On me. Yeah. And you get crazy.
So, but that guy who's getting crazy in your he has to be kind of used to adversity in one way or another, or at the very least know how to deal with it.
That's what, yes.
So it kind of brought me back a little bit to a conversation we had recently about guys quitting whatever it may be, where you would think, no way this guy's going to quit because he's a stud. But this guy's probably not, you get in MMA and sports and whatever.
In Dick Marcinko's book, who recently died, The Rogue Warrior, he wrote a book, came out in 1992 when I was a new guy in the derbs. Yeah. But he called these people gazelles.
Right, yes, yeah.
And he said gazelles, they're used to winning. They run and they win and they run and they win, and they're just good athletes and they're just winning. Right. And they show up at buds, and I can promise you, there's gonna be some shit you lose. Yeah. And if that's adversity. You hit that adversity wall, and you've been a stud your whole life, and all of a sudden, I'm sure there's multiple psychological things that can unfold. One of them might be, you're used to winning and now you lose and you get down on yourself. But also, hey, this is the hardest thing I've ever done. It's harder than I thought it was going to be. Or I failed this thing, and now what's going to happen? If I failed this thing and I'm only 2 days into this gig, I got 6 more months of this, and I already failed. No, I'm not cut out for this.
Yeah, I'm not used to it. It's totally like an imposition on their whole sensibility, and that's just not used to it. But so you could, in a way, kind of track it back to morale, really.
That individual's morale gets crushed.
Exactly right. So you get a guy who's used to adversity. He's like, hey, this won't crush my morale. I've been here before. I know I can fight back out of this. I know this is going to end. I know that guys who know about adversity, but the guy who doesn't, the guy who wins every single time, never failed ever in his and just things come natural to him. Yeah. Oh, bro, you let that guy get crushed one time. Morale is down.
Yeah.
It's down.
Damn.
So that might be the situation on that one.
Could be.